Emmanuel, I thank God for yet another opportunity to have another chaplaincy class again today. I just want to talk about the chaplain's attitude towards crisis, his response to crisis in the area where he may find himself. Don't worry, son, I'm going to send you credit. Okay, no, you don't even have any, you don't have any way to do it. Thank you. Good night, son. So we'll look at the response of a chaplain to crisis again briefly tonight. If you look at the chaplain's assignment, in the first class we said a chaplain is regarded as a first responder. He responds to situations, emergencies. He is one of those that gets to the point of crisis, and sometimes it gets to the point of accidents. It could even be domestic. Okay, he gets there before any other person or so, and then he gives the prompt attention. And that's why the chaplain actually he gets the courses that he does. I was saying that yesterday when I was teaching in the dark now, that among the courses that the chaplain does is first aid in emergency, fire prevention and safety, the basic knowledge of the law in terms of fundamental human rights, litigation and chaplaincy. He also learns some things about the basic principles of biblical counseling. He also learned about the biblical basis for chaplaincy, and he is also trained in the aspect of drills, which helps his physical fitness, which is the PT, which they call it in the military. So all of these courses put together, even how to respond to depression, identifying the nature of depression, and then knowing how to respond. Family ecology is part of what he trains in. He knows all of that because there are basic problems that come up in the family, and then he's expected to know how to respond to various situations. So you see, the job of a chaplain is just far beyond the earlier brethren talked to us about. A chaplain, once again today, by way of revision, is a servant of God equipped with counseling skills and regimental discipline, okay, without carrying arms, and then he is totally dependent on the Holy Spirit. So if you look at that definition, we say again that a chaplain, is a servant, first of all, a servant of God, and then he has is been equipped with counseling skills, and then he also has a regimental discipline or training. That's to say, we don't carry arms, so the uniform we wear is to help us to identify our rank and file, and at the same time to give us the spirit, the core spirit, with other sister paramilitary agencies, the police, and then we act and serve as fathers to the military. Don't forget that we are their fathers, and so there's no room for competition with the police, with the the military, and then any of the paramilitary bodies. So we don't need to duplicate their jobs. They are constitutionally put in place to carry out those assignments. We are there as their eyes and their ears to help them to get the job done. So now in crisis, where I live in, an area here where I've seen crisis for close since 2001 till now. Between then and now, I have seen quite a number of crises. Not just seen, I've been involved in, almost all of them. All of them have been involved where I had to literally fight, or let me use the word, look for, fight for my life and that of my family and the church. I know what it meant to stay without having my bath for a complete 1 week, 7 days, escaping my family to the backside of the town. I know what we went through. It wasn't funny at all. I know what it meant when I saw human flesh being eaten up by, pigs on the road. And I know what it meant to see human beings being set ablaze because of, crisis. I also know what it means to see where religion, blindfolded people's eyes, and then ethnicity closed their minds, and they never were able to reason well. I've seen all of that. I've been on a helix, and literally quelling the issues, the crisis in the city of Jos then. I remember one of the times when the STF commanders, one of them came around. I think I was together with him on one of the stands at Tina Junction in particular, where the boys, I think they shot towards his direction, and there was a celebration of bullets that day. I was right by his side. We had to, escape. The boys bailed us out of that place. So I've seen crisis. I've been in the midst of crisis. I'm not just telling you story or what I read from book. And I've also been involved in rescue operations where, identities of people where we have to identify who they were before we could take them to the police headquarters, from there to the Jos University Teaching Hospital, where literally we saw young men that, opened up people's stomach, and the night some of them ran away from the hospital. I've seen quite a number of those things in those days. I've been in front of, where they shot at me from a distance. God helped me that day. And I've also been where, people were throwing all kinds of ammunitions to just hurt us in the place. And I've also been directly so closely involved. Thank God for the Nigerian Air Force, the former 330 NAF base, who came in to help me during one of the, you see now, that's the issue of the spirit they called now. They came in because they were coming from Sherry Hills. So I had to call them, wave them down, beg them to come in to assist us when they put fire in our church. My offices were burnt and the glasses, everything was broken that time. So I have been through the crisis. I just had to describe all of this, scenario for you to know that what I'm talking about is not just story or an allegory. I have been there. So I have seen quite a number of troubles in the city, and most of the time it starts little, it starts small. And for you to know that this thing is real, it's always started from just behind where we are the boundary with one another, and they always want to come to make their way through our entrance, which has always been a very strong fortified place that God has helped us, that they've not been able to penetrate into the main other side of where we stay. Now, that being said, so you can have a background of who is talking to you. It's not just telling you my book of Bible stories. Now, seeing that crises are real, let's take the scriptural part of it. The Bible in the book of John 16:33 says, "In the world you shall have tribulations, in me you have peace. But be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." Now, Jesus made it clear to us that we're going to have troubles in the world towards the end of the age. In 2 Timothy chapter 3, it says, "In the last days, perilous times shall come." In case you are there, you are up tonight, wherever you are in the part of the world, you can click the subscribe button, please, and then the notification, so that anytime I come up, you'll be able to see me. Now, Jesus said it, and Paul, writing to Timothy, said, "In the last days, perilous times shall come. Men shall be lovers of themselves rather than being lovers of God." Do you understand that? Now, and there'll be haters all over the places. Whatever is happening today is a script that every one of the actors are only acting out. Now, we must be very careful as dwellers on the face of the earth to know that the world is actually about to destroy itself. The world is about to self-destruct. That's the truth. And because of that, we must be very careful. We must not allow ourselves to be ignorant of the plans of the devil. Now, as believers, chaplains, we're going to be found, we live in communities. Chaplains live in communities. And so we cannot pretend not to know what goes on in our community. Now, this is why, as a chaplain that is living in communities, you must learn crisis response strategies. One, identify the environment where you are and look at the things that are happening in that place, the possible things that could cause crisis in the areas where you live. And then you work towards how you can, make it easier and resolve this crisis. It could be because of maybe indigenous settlers problem, and just like we have in Nigeria today, the farmers and herders problem. The Fulanis from sub-Saharan Africa coming in the name of grazing routes and all of that, and then from there they settle down, eat up the farmers' stuff, and when the farmers' things are eaten up, they get about the crisis in the Plateau State where I live. Is the death of my younger brother. He was killed by the army. The soldiers actually killed him. I'm saying that very bluntly here because I never believed that could happen. They came around that crisis, that day of the crisis, and they packed the people around. And then he was just coming from work. He didn't know, went to buy food, and they just accosted him and joined him together with the people. Just click the he came back home. I went to bail him and that was it. He died after the night. He died last year. 19 February, March. I can say it openly that crisis. I didn't just lose Matthew Akinsanmi. I also lost my and it's very, very unfortunate. In the next day, by the some of the other ethnic group, he was General Boy. He was killed. Quite a number of it causes problem in our community where we. Something about my own community where we stay. I have been studying it over the years, where the and then Nigerian Constitution says restrictions and limitations. That does not mission of people that may irritate areas where I've lived. They keep now we are fire safety and prevention getting too bad. The turtles already found this happened in the city of Jos. So these were I also noticed then that period, because of the scarcity of fuel, people were buying fuel in gallons and keeping at home. So you must identify what could cause the crisis in your life, in your community. When you know them, then you now begin to strategize and look for ways to deal with it. And if it is hunger, you look for how you can also help the people in the area. If it happens, then apart from being on the offensive, you got to be on the defensive. Do you understand? Be on the defensive. You fight back to kill the fire. Now, I've also seen cases where, bailiffs came into a man's house to remove him from his house because of bank loan and all of that. They went to a lower court to get, a victim paper. Meanwhile, a high court had restricted them from getting there. Because of the information I learned from chaplaincy, I stopped them. I called our chaplain lawyer, told them this is what's going on, and we stopped that situation that year. So there are quite a number of things you can do to forestall crisis in your community. And if it is husband and wife, children and parents, you can also help to do that by counseling with them so that they don't get into all of these troubles. Well, I think I've been able to open a little bit of crisis areas and what to do, so that you can begin to think as a chaplain, what can you do in your own area to forestall it? We're not talking about road accidents. I've been there in many cases where I've seen dead bodies on the road where they tied the man inside the Ghana must go. I had to open him up. Everybody was scared of going in. Because I'm a chaplain, I have my ID card. And so I called the Assistant Commissioner of Police then, give me some people to come. There's a problem here. And they came. and they took away the cuffs. Now, so many things. The boy wrote a letter, inside his bag, and then I think the police had investigations to do concerning that. So I have done that too. I've been involved in where blood was involved on our roads. I had to stop the vehicles, get the policemen to follow them to the hospital. Later we went there, we were able to save one died. There are many things we can do in Nigeria, even though our ambulatory system is not really working well yet. Our toll lines are not really as effective as should be, but you can make sure that you will always have police somewhere around there. When you get involved in any crisis as a chaplain, once you've rescued the people, look around, get a police, hand over to the police, tell the police how much and how far you have gone, give your report to the police. This was when it happened, this was what happened, this was what happened, and then this was the action I've taken. And then you hand it over to the police, who is constitutionally given the right to do the report and take it over from there. Is that okay? Your ID card will always be with you to help at any point in time. God bless you. The number you can call in case you want to just talk about it is 0803-589-2801. We also run our chaplaincy courses now online. You can check on my Facebook page, and you can also check the number I've just called. The same number, the same news basically. God be with you, and please click the subscribe button and the notification so that whenever we come on, you will see us. This is the third class we did in chaplaincy. Today is crisis response and your attitude as a chaplain. God bless you and good night.